How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, May 6th, 2021 out here in this quarantine, but this episode is for Sunday, May 2nd, just to catch up on what's been going on. For this episode, I'm going to review the elite matchups and performances from Saturday, May 1st, as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. I'm coming with this episode from Thursday, May 6th, after my graduation, so I'm just catching up on the days just to let everyone know what's been going on. Starting off in the NBA, starting off in Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks were able to beat the Chicago Bulls 108-97 to pick up their 35th win of the season. For the Chicago Bulls in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting power forward, Thaddeus Young, who finished with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and a couple of steals in 33 minutes as he shot 10 for 12 from the field. For the Atlanta Hawks, their leading scorer would be their elite starting point guard out of Oklahoma, Trae Young, who finished with 33 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes, as he would go on to shoot 9 for 14 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 11 for 12 from the three-point line on the night. And then their starting center, Clint Capella, would finish with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 30 minutes, as he would go on to shoot 8 for 9 from the field on the night. Also looking out to following this matchup, looking at how the Charlotte Hornets fared. The Charlotte Hornets would end up beating the Detroit Pistons 107-94. For the Detroit Pistons in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their point guard off the bench, Frank Jackson, who finished with 25 points and 7 rebounds in 34 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 19 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the foul line. Their leading scorer out of their starters is their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey, who finished with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 40 minutes, as Bey shot 7 for 21 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. For the Charlotte Hornets, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier, who finished with 29 points and 7 rebounds in 38 minutes, shooting 10 for 23 from the field, 8 for 15 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Miles Bridges, would finish with 27 points and 7 rebounds in 36 minutes, shooting 11 for 16 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And their elite rookie starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 11 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 28 minutes, as he would shoot 4 for 10 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. And look, with this win, of course, the Hornets pick up their 31st win of the season, and with this loss, the Pistons pick up their 45th loss of the season. Jumping out to Houston, the Golden State Warriors were able to beat the Rockets 113-87. In this matchup, the leading scorer for the Houston Rockets would end up being, or they had 2 players that finished with 16 points. Off the bench, their small forward, Kenyon Martin Jr., would finish with 16 points and 9 rebounds in 33 minutes, as he shot 6 for 10 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And then their leading scorer amongst their starters would be their starting shooting guard, Kevin Porter Jr., who also finished with 16 points, as he had 6 assists on the night in 36 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 18 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. For the Golden State Warriors, their leading scorer would be their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry, who finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 30 minutes, as he shot 9 for 23 from the field, 7 for 17 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the foul line. Alongside him, their small forward and former number 1 overall pick, Andrew Wiggins, would finish with 20 points and 2 blocks in 34 minutes, as he shot 8 for 14 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. With this win, the Golden State Warriors were now 32-32, and with this loss, the Rockets were now 16-48. Jumping out to Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Miami Heat, and the Heat were able to beat the Cavaliers 124-107. In this matchup, the leading scorer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had 2 players. Their starting power forward, Kevin Love, would finish with 25 points and 6 rebounds in 29 minutes, as he shot 9 for 14 from the field and 7 for 10 from 3. And then their starting point guard out of Alabama, Colin Sexton, would finish with 25 points, 8 assists, and a couple of steals in 39 minutes, minutes as he shot 8 for 20 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 8 from the foul line. For the Miami Heat, their leading scorer would end up being their starting shooting guard out of Oakland, Kendrick Nunn. He finished with 22 points and 2 steals in 36 minutes, shooting 9 for 14 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. Their starting shooting guard, Duncan Robinson, would finish with 20 points in 21 minutes, shooting 7 for 10 from the field and 6 for 9 from 3. Their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, would finish with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes, as Butler would shoot 4 for 10 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. And their elite starting center, Bam Adebayo, would finish with 13 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in 33 minutes as he shot 6 for 13 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Miami Heat at the time were now 34-30, and with this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 20. They were 21-43 following that loss. Jumping out to Orlando, the Orlando Magic were able to beat the Memphis Grizzlies 112-111. After the Magic were able to outscore the Grizzlies by 10 in the fourth quarter. For the Grizzlies, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Dylan Brooks, who finished with 23 points in 32 minutes, shooting 9 for 20 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, John Moran, would finish with 22 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 turnovers in 32 minutes, as the Murray State product would shoot 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. And then their starting small forward out of UCLA, Kyle Anderson, would finish with 21 points and 2 steals in 28 minutes, shooting 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. For the Orlando Magic, their leading scorer would be their starting point guard, out of UNC, Cole Anthony, who finished with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 5 turnovers. As the rookie played 36 minutes, he shot 6 for 15 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting center, Mo Wagner, out of Michigan, would finish with 24 points, 5 rebounds, and a couple of blocks in 34 minutes, as he shot 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And then their starting shooting guard out of Florida State, Dwayne Bacon, would finish with 23 points and 3 steals in 36 minutes as he shot 9 for 15 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Orlando Magic were now 20-44 as they picked up their 20th win of the season, and with this loss, the Grizzlies were now 32-31 on the season. Jumping out to Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the New Orleans Pelicans, and in overtime, the Pelicans would beat the Timberwolves 140-136 to pick up their 29th win of the season. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, the number 1 overall pick from the most recent 2020 draft, Anthony Edwards, who finished with 29 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 turnovers in 38 minutes, as he shot 9 for 21 from the field and 9 for 11 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, would finish with 28 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes as he fouled out, as he shot 8 for 19 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Off the bench, their elite point guard, D'Angelo Russell, would finish with 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 11 assists alongside 2 steals in 33 minutes, as he shot 8 for 22 from the field and 1 for 12 from 3 on the night. For the Pelicans, their leading scorer would be their elite starting power forward out of Duke, Zion Williamson, who finished with 37 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists alongside 7 turnovers in 42 minutes. He shot 14 for 17 from the field and 9 for 15 from the foul line. And their elite next to him, their starting point guard, Lonzo Ball out of UCLA, would finish with 33 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals alongside 5 turnovers in 40 minutes, as Lonzo Ball would shoot 10 for 21 from the field, 8 for 17 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. And their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Brandon Ingram, would finish with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists in 40 minutes, as he shot 4 for 17 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 4 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the Pelicans were now 29-35, and the Timberwolves are now 20-45 on the season. Jumping out to Oklahoma City, the Thunder hosted the Indiana Pacers as the Pacers picked up one of their biggest win in their franchise history, beating the Oklahoma City Thunder 152-95, winning by 57 points. For the Thunder in this matchup, their leading scorer would end up being their starting center out of It was their starting center out of UCLA, Moses Brown. Moses Brown would finish with 16 points on the night, as he would also finish with 7 rebounds, shooting 7 for 9 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. For the Indiana Pacers, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Doug McDermott out of Creighton, who finished with 31 points in 27 minutes, shooting 11 for 14 from the field, 6 for 8 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their all-star starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis, would finish with 26 points, 19 rebounds, and 14 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 30 minutes, as he shot 10 for 13 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. And then their starting shooting guard, Karis LeVert, would finish with 25 points and 6 assists in 27 minutes, shooting 9 for 15 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Indiana Pacers were now 30-33 on the season, and with this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder were now 21-43 on the season following this loss. Jumping out to Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks hosted the Washington Wizards, and the Dallas Mavericks would pull off a 125-124 win as Luka Doncic pulled off probably one of the greatest performances that you've ever seen in an NBA game. Starting off with the Wizards, their leading scorer was their elite starting point guard, Russell Westbrook out of UCLA, who finished with 42 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, as well as 2 steals in 40 minutes, as he shot 17 for 30 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the foul line. And then their elite starting shooting guard, Bradley Beal, would finish with 29 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes, as the Florida Gator would shoot 9 for 20 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the foul line. For the Dallas Mavericks, their leading scorer would be their elite starting point guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic, who finished with 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 20 assists in 39 minutes, as he would shoot 12 for 23 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 6 for 11 from the foul line. And then their starting power forward, Dorian Finney-Smith, would finish with 22 points of his own, as he would add 5 rebounds in 40 minutes, as he shot 8 for 12 from the field and 6 for 9 from 3. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks were 36-27, and with this loss, the Washington Wizards were 29-35 following their Saturday night matchup. Jumping out to Utah, the Utah Jazz were able to beat the Toronto Raptors 106-102, as they were able to outscore the Raptors by 8 points in the fourth quarter to come from behind 4 and win by 4. For the Raptors, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Fred VanVleet, who finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes, as he shot 11 for 25 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. Their elite starting power forward, Pascal Siakam, would also finish with 15 points, as he finished with 7 rebounds and 3 steals in 40 minutes, as he shot 7 for 18 from the field and 1 for 3 from 3. For the Utah Jazz, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic, who finished with 34 points in 39 minutes, shooting 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And then their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would go on to finish with 13 points and 16 rebounds in 34 minutes, shooting 6 for 8 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz were 46-18 following their Saturday matchup, and the Raptors were now 26-38 following this loss. And then last but not least, looking out to the final game that happened on Saturday, the Los Angeles Clippers hosted the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets were able to beat the Clippers 110-104. For the Clippers in this matchup, their leading scorer was their elite starting shooting guard, Paul George, who finished with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple of assists in 38 minutes, as he shot 5 for 21 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 7 for 11 from the foul line. Alongside him, their goated small forward, Kawhi Leonard, would finish with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 30 minutes, as he shot 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3 on the night. For the Denver Nuggets, their leading scorer would be their elite starting center, Nicola Jokic, who finished with 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists in 33 minutes, as he shot 9 for 17 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 10 for 10 from the line. And then their elite, or not their elite, but their starting small forward, Michael Porter Jr., would finish with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes, as he shot 10 for 16 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the foul line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 43-21, And with this loss, the Clippers were now 43-22. That was how the NBA was shaping up after those matchups. Looking really quickly at to what the NHL was looking like following those matchups. And of course, I have to lead this by saying that every team had to stay and play within their own division. But first, looking out to see what's going on in the East Division, the Bruins were able to beat the Sabres 6-2 to pick up their 30th win of the season. The New York Islanders were able to beat the New York Rangers 3-0 to pick up their 31st win. The Devils were able to beat the Flyers 4-1 to pick up their 17th win, and the Penguins were able to pick up their third win as they beat the Capitals 3-0. In the Central Division, the Detroit Red Wings were able to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 1-0 to pick up their 18th win of the season. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-1 in OT to pick up their 34th win of the season. Jumping in the north at Chicago, the Florida Panthers were able to beat the Blackhawks 5-4. Looking at what's going on north of the border in Canada, the Montreal Canadiens were able to beat the Ottawa Senators 3-2 in overtime. The Toronto Maple Leafs were able to beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-1 behind Austin Matthews' 2 goals himself. Jumping back out to the Central, the Nashville Predators were able to beat the Dallas Stars 1-0. Back out to Canada, the Oilers were able to beat the Flames 4-1. In the Western Division, the Minnesota Wild were able to beat the St. Louis Blues 4-3 as they pick up their 32nd win of the season. The Colorado Avalanche were able to beat the San Jose Sharks 4-3 to pick up their 33rd win. The Golden Knights were able to beat the Coyotes 3-2 to pick up their 36th win of the season, and the Anaheim Ducks were able to beat the Los Angeles Kings 6-2 to pick up their 16th win of the season. That's what was going on with that's what was going on with hockey at the moment. Really quickly looking at what's going on with the world of baseball out in those games. Starting out in Washington, D.C., the Washington Nationals hosted the Miami Marlins and were able to pull off a 7-2 win, giving Patrick Corbin his first win of the season. For the Miami Marlins, the start and the loss went to their starting pitcher, who in this matchup was Paul Campbell. Paul Campbell will go on to allow 4 earned runs in 3.2 innings pitches. He struck out 4. With this loss, Campbell is 0-2 as a starting pitcher for the Miami Marlins. The only player on their team that would log more than 1 hit would be their catcher, Chad Wallach, who went 2 for 4 on the night. For the Washington Nationals, the start and the win went to Patrick Corbin. Corbin would allow 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitches. He struck out 4. With this win, Patrick Corbin is now 1-3 as a starting pitcher he was now 1-3 for the Nats as a starting pitcher. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Trey Turner, would go 2 for 5 with a run on the day. Their second baseman, Josh Harrison, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run for himself. Their first baseman, Josh Bell, would go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs. And their catcher, Yan Gomes, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his second home run of the season for the Nationals. With this win, the Nats were 11-12, and with this loss, the Marlins were 11-15. Jumping out to New York, the Yankees were able to beat the Tigers 6-4 to give Taillon his first win of the season. For the Detroit Tigers, the start and the loss went to Spencer Turnbull, who allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out only 1 batter. With this loss, Turnbull was 1-2 on the season. In their batting lineup, their first player that had more than 1 hit was their third baseman, Jaime Candelario. He would finish 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his second home run of the season. Alongside him, their shortstop, Nico Goodrum, will go 2 for 3 as he went 1 for 1 as he hit his 4th home run of the season. For the New York Yankees, the win will go to their starting pitcher, Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon would allow 1 earned run in 5 innings pitches. He struck out 8. With this win, he is 1-2 on the season. And looking at how the Yankees lineup fared, their elite third baseman, DJ LeMahieu, would go 2 for 4 with two runs on the day as he walked. Their elite designated hitter, Aaron Judge, would go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he had a pretty good game for himself. Their elite shortstop, Gleyber Torres, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And with this win, the New York Yankees were 13-14, and with this loss, the Detroit Tigers were 8-20. Jumping out to Minneapolis, The Minnesota Twins hosted the Kansas City Royals, and the Royals were able to beat the Twins 11-3, giving Danny Duffy his 4th win of the season. For the Minnesota Twins, the start and the loss would end up going to Matt Shoemaker. Shoemaker would allow 8 earned runs and 3.1 innings pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter on the day. With this loss, Shoemaker was 1-3 as a starting pitcher. And no one on the team was able to log more than 1 hit as their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, would go 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 8th home run of the season. And then for the Kansas City Royals, the win would go to Danny Duffy, who would allow only 1 earned run and 7 innings pitched as he struck out 7 batters. In their batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Whit Merrifield, would go 1-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run. Merrifield would go, or he would have a good game for himself. Their first baseman, Carlos Santana, would go 2-for-4 with an RBI and 2 runs for him. Their elite catcher, Salvador Perez, would go 2-for-3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 6th home run of the season. Their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi, would go 3-for-4 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs as Benintendi hit his 2nd and 3rd home runs of the season. And then their center fielder, Michael Taylor, would go 2-for-3 with a run for himself. With this win, the Kansas City Royals were 16-9 at that moment, and with this loss, the Twins were now 9-16. Jumping out to Chicago, the White Sox were able to beat the Cleveland Indians 7-3, giving Lance Lynn his 2nd win of the season. For Cleveland, the start and the loss would go to their starting pitcher, who in this matchup was Tristan McKenzie. Tristan McKenzie would allow 5 earned runs and 2 innings pitched as he struck out 6 on the day. He is now 0-1 as a starting pitcher for Cleveland on the season. And in their batting lineup, their designated hitter, Josh Naylor, would go 2-for-4 with a run. He was the only player who had more than 1 hit on the team. Their elite third baseman, Jose Ramirez, would go 0-for-3 as he walked once and finished with a run. For the Chicago White Sox, the start and the win would go to Lance Lynn, who allowed 3 earned runs and 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2 batters on the day. With this win, he was 2-1. And then with their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, would go 1-for-4 with 4 RBIs and a run on the day. As he would go on to hit his 4th home run of the season. No one on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. As their elite first baseman, the reigning American League MVP, Jose Abreu, would go 0-for-2 as he walked once, struck out twice, and still finished with a run. And overall, with this win, the Chicago White Sox are now, or at this point, they were 15-11. And with this loss, the Cleveland Indians were 12-13. Jumping out to Oakland, the Oakland Athletics hosted the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles were able to beat the Athletics 8-4. And with this win, we're looking at how the A's fare. The start and loss will go to Jesus Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo would allow 3 earned runs and 3 innings pitched as he struck out 1 batter on the day. With his loss, Luzardo is now 1-3 as a starting pitcher for the A's. And their lineup, their right fielder, Mark Canha, will go 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. And then their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, will go 1-for-3 with a run for himself. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start and the win would go to Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey would allow 2 earned runs and 5.2 innings pitched as he only struck out a batter. But with this win, Harvey was now 3-1 at the moment with that win. No one on the team was able to log more than 1 hit, but everybody in the lineup actually had a hit, which is actually pretty impressive. And with this win, the Baltimore Orioles are now they were 13-14 following that win, and the A's were now 16-12 following that loss. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds hosted the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs were able to beat the Reds 3-2. For the Cincinnati Reds, their start and loss will go to Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo would allow 3 earned runs in the 5.1 innings that he pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. With his loss, Castillo was 1-3 on the season at that moment. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Eugenio Suarez, would go 0-for-4 as he struck out 3 times. The only player that had more than 1 hit on the team was their catcher, Tyler Stevenson, who went 2-for-4 for himself. For the Chicago Cubs, the start went to Zach Davies. Zach Davies would only pitch 4 innings and strike out 3 batters as he allowed only 1 earned run. The win would go to the first relief pitcher, who in this matchup was Rex Brothers. Rex Brothers would allow no earned runs and strike out all 3 of the batters in the 1 inning that he pitched. With this win, he is 1-0 as a relief pitcher. As their elite closer, Craig Kimbrell would pick up his 5th save of the season, as he would strike out 2 batters in the last inning that he played. He has 5 saves on the season. In their batting lineup, their elite left fielder, Chris Bryant, would go 0 for 4 as he struck out twice. And then their elite shortstop, Harvey would go 1 for 4 as he struck out twice and still finished with a run. The only player on the team that had more than one hit was their second baseman, Nico Hoerner, who went 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And with this win for Chicago, they were 12-15 at the moment. And with this loss, the Reds were 12-14. Jumping out to Tampa, the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the Houston Astros. The Astros were able to beat the Rays 3-1 as Jose Urquidy picked up his second win of the season as the Astros scored all 3 of their runs in the first inning. For the Tampa Bay Rays, the start and the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Josh Fleming. Fleming would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4 batters on the day. He is now 1-3 as a starting pitcher following this loss. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Manuel Margot, would go 2 for 4. And then their second baseman, Brandon Lau, would go 2 for 4 with a run for himself. They were the only 2 players with more than one hit. Their elite right fielder, Randy Arozarena, would go 0 for 3 as he walked once. For the Houston Astros, the win will go to their starting pitcher, Jose Urquidy, who would allow no earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 5 batters on the day. With this win, he was 2-2 on the season as the save would go to Presley. In their batting lineup, no one on the team would have more than one hit. Their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would go 1 for 3 with a run. Their elite third baseman, Alex Bregman, would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run for himself. And with this win, the Houston Astros were 15-12. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays were 13-15. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the New York Mets, and the Mets were able to beat the Phillies 5-4. For the Philadelphia Phillies in this matchup, Zach Wheeler would get the start as he allowed 4 earned runs in 7 innings pitched. He struck out 6. He would not get the decision as the loss would end up going to Hector Neris. Hector Neris would allow the game-winning run in the 9th inning. Neris would allow 1 earned run in 1 innings pitched as he struck out 1 batter. With this loss, he was 1-3 as a relief pitcher for Philadelphia. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Alec Boehm, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then the only other player with more than one hit on this lineup was their second baseman, Nick Matone. Matone would go 2 for 3 with a run for himself. For the Mets, the start would go to Taijuan Walker, who would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4 on the day. And the win would actually come in relief, and this one would come to Trevor May. Trevor May would only pitch 1 inning for the team as he would allow no earned runs, and Edwin Diaz would pick up his 3rd save of the season for the team. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, would go 0 for 3 with a run. Their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run for himself. And their right fielder, Michael Conforto, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the New York Mets are now 10-11. And with this loss, the Phillies were now 13-14. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Cardinals were able to beat the Pirates 12-15 as Jack Flaherty picked up his 5th win of the season. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start and the loss would end up going to Trevor Cahill. Cahill would allow 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitches. He struck out 5 batters. He is now 1-3 on the season, picking up this loss. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Brian Reynolds, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs on the day. And then their first baseman, Colin Moran, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. And last but not least, their right fielder, Gregor Polanco, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start and the win would go to their elite starting pitcher, Jack Flaherty, who would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He struck out 9 batters on the day. With this win, Flaherty is 5-0 on the season for St. Louis. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Tommy Edman, would go 4 for 6 with a run. Their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and 4 runs on the day for himself. Their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, would go 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Their left fielder, Charlie O'Neill, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run for himself. And with this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 15-12 on the season. And with this loss, the Pirates are 12-14. Jumping out to Dallas, the Texas Rangers were able to beat the Boston Red Sox 8-6 as they picked up their 12th win of the season. For the Boston Red Sox on the night, their start would end up going to Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez would allow 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitches. He struck out 5 on the day. The blown save and the loss would go to their relief pitcher, Matt Andriese. Andreezy would allow 3 earned runs in the one inning that he pitched as he struck out 1. With this loss, Andreezy is 0-1 as a relief pitcher for Boston. In their lineup, their second baseman, who in this game would be Christian Arroyo, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite designated hitter, JD Martinez, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI on the day. Their shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their catcher, Christian Vasquez, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And their right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his second home run of the season. For the Texas Rangers, the start would go to Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles would allow 5 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 2 batters on the day. The win would come in relief to Josh Sborz. Sborz would allow 1 earned run in 1.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. And the save would end up going to Ian Kennedy. That was his 6th of the season. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, will go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his second triple of the season and his 4th home run of the season. Their second baseman, Nick Solak, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their designated hitter, Willie Calhoun, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their third baseman, Charlie Culberson, would also happen to go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. Going back to Willie Calhoun, he hit his second home run of the season. And with this win, the Texas Rangers were now 12-16. And with this loss, the Red Sox were 17-11. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers faced off against the defending champs, Los Angeles Dodgers, as they pulled off a 6-5 win, winning in extra innings. For the for the Dodgers in this matchup, the start will go to Dustin May, who only pitched 1.2 innings as he only allowed 1 run on the day. The loss would come in relief as he would go to Alex Vezia. Vezia would allow 2 earned runs and 4 total runs in the 1 inning that he pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, Vezia is 0-1 as a relief pitcher this season. And their batting lineup, their elite center fielder, Mookie Betts, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd home run of the season for them. Their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 1 for 5 with an RBI. And that's virtually how they're batting. And the only other player that had more than 1 hit was their right fielder, Matt Beatty, who will go 2 for 4 for himself. For the Milwaukee Brewers, their starting pitcher, Brandon Woodruff, would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He struck out 6. Their elite relief pitcher, Devin Williams, would allow no runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2 batters on the day. Their elite closer, Josh Hader, would not allow a run either, as he would not allow a single run in the 1 inning that he pitched. The win would go to their relief pitcher, Angel Perdomo. He would allow no earned runs in 0.2 innings pitches. He struck out 1 batter on the day. And in their batting lineup, their right fielder, Avisail Garcia, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI on the day. Their third baseman, Travis Shaw, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their shortstop, their shortstop in this matchup, who was Luis Urias, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run for himself as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. Travis Shaw hit his 5th. With this win, the Brewers were 17-10 on the season, and with this loss, the Dodgers were 16-12. Jumping out to Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Atlanta Braves and were able to beat the Braves 6-5 in extra innings. For the Atlanta Braves, the start will go to Charlie Morton. He allowed 4 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitches. He struck out 6 batters on the day. The loss would end up going to their relief pitcher, who in this game was Nate Jones. Nate Jones would allow no earned runs in 0.2 innings pitches. He struck out no batters on the day. With his loss, he was 0-2 as a relief pitcher. Their elite right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he picked up his 9th home run of the season. And their elite first baseman, the reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, would go 0 for 5 as he struck out once. Their elite left fielder, Marcell Ozuna, would go 1 for 5 on the day. Their elite second baseman, Ozzy Albies, would go 1 for 4 as he walked once. And then their shortstop, Dansby Swanson, would go 2 for 5 as he finished with a run. Their designated hitter, Pablo Sandoval, would go 2 for 3 with a run on the day. And then their center fielder, Christian Pache, would go 1 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit a grand slam for his first career home run as an Atlanta Brave. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the start would go to their starting pitcher, Travis Bergen. He allowed no earned runs in the only 1 inning that he pitched. The win would come in relief to Jordan Romano. Romano would allow no earned runs in the 1 inning that he pitched as he struck out a batter. In their batting lineup, their designated hitter, George Springer, would end up going 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his first 2 home runs of the season. Their elite first baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., would go 1 for 3 with a walk and a run on the day. The only other hitter other than Springer that had more than one hit was Randall Grichuk, their center fielder, who went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the Blue Jays were 13-12 as the Braves dropped to 12-15. Jumping out to Arizona, the Diamondbacks hosted the Colorado Rockies as the Rockies were able to beat the Diamondbacks 14-6. Austin Gomber picked up his second win of the season. For the Diamondbacks, the start and the loss would go to Zach Gallen. Gallen would allow 4 earned runs in the 4 innings that he pitched as he struck out 7. With his loss, Zach Gallen was 1-1 as a starting pitcher. In their lineup, their center fielder, Pavin Smith, would go 2 for 5 as he was one of the 2 players that had more than one hit. As their right fielder, Josh Rojas, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs. For the Colorado Rockies, the start and the win would go to Austin Gomber, who allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He struck out 4. He would pick up his second win of the season as he went 2 for 3. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, Raimel Tapia, would go 4 for 6 with an RBI and 3 runs. Alongside him, their shortstop, Trevor Story, would go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 4 runs, as Trevor Story hit his third home run of the season. Their third baseman, Ryan McMahon, would go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs on the season. And then their first baseman, CJ Cron, would go 2 for 6 with a run. Their right fielder, Charlie Blackmon, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. And then their catcher, who in this game would end up being Dom Nunez, would end up going 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs, as he hit his 5th home run of the season for the Rockies. With this win, the Rockies were 10-17 on the season, as the Diamondbacks dropped to 14-13. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres were able to beat the Giants at home, giving Blake Snell his first win of the season. For the Giants, the start and the loss would go to Anthony DeSclafani, who would allow 3 earned runs in 8 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, DeSclafani was 2-1 on the season. In their lineup, their left fielder, who in this game was Darren Ruff, would go 2 for 3 with a RBI on the day. He was the only player on the team with more than one hit. For San Diego, their win went to their elite starting pitcher, Blake Snell, who allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6 batters on the day. With this win, he's now 1-0 as a starting pitcher for the Padres on the season. Their center fielder, Trent Grisham, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run on the day. And he was the only player with more than one hit. Their elite shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr., would go 0 for 3 as he walked once and finished with 2 runs on the day. And then their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, would go 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 4th home run of the season. With this win, the Padres were 16-12 as the Giants dropped to 16-11. And last but not least, looking at how Seattle fared, the Mariners hosted the Angels, and the Angels were able to beat the Mariners 10-5 to pick up their 13th win of the season. For the Mariners, the start and the loss would go to their starting pitcher, L.J. Newsome. He would allow 8 earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out only 1 batter on the day. With this loss, Newsome was 1-1 on the season. In their lineup, the only player that had more than one hit was their shortstop, who in this matchup would be J.P. Crawford. Crawford would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run on the season. And then for the Angels, the start would end up going to their starting pitcher, Griffin Canning. Canning would allow no earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 9 batters on the day. With this win, Canning was 2-2. With this win, in their batting lineup, their go-to center fielder, Mike Trout, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He had his 7th home run of the season. Their elite third baseman, Anthony Rendon, would go 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs, as Rendon hit his 2nd home run of the season. And their right fielder, Jared Walsh, would go 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 5th and 6th home run of the day for the Los Angeles Angels. With this win, the Angels were now 13-12 as these Seattle Mariners dropped to 15-13. So that was everything that was going on with baseball. And then, of course, last but not least, taking a look at what was going on in the world of soccer following these matchups. Just taking a look out to how those fared. I'm going to start with the Serie A. Inter Milan was finally able to, Inter Milan was able to win Serie A as they beat Crotone 2-0, winning off of the goals of Christian Eriksen and Achraf Hakimi. AC Milan was able to beat Benevento 2-0 in their matchup as they hold the second spot in the Serie A. Chelsea was able to beat Fulham as both of their goals came from Kai Havertz. Big win for Chelsea. Manchester City was able to beat Crystal Palace 2-0 as both of their goals came in the 57th and 59th minute to get their win. And then jumping out to La Liga, Atletico Madrid was able to beat Elche 1-0 to hold on to their lead on top of the table. Real Madrid was able to beat Osasuna 2-0 as both of their goals came late in the second half. PSG was able to beat Lens 2-1, and Lille was able to beat Nice 2-0 in their matchup. That's how soccer was going there. And of course, Borussia Dortmund was able to beat Holstein Kiel 5-0 in their German Cup semifinal matchup. That was everything that was going on with soccer, and that was everything that happened on Saturday, May 1st, as today is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 40 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups are complete, I will come at you tomorrow on Monday, May 3rd, 2021, with another installment of The Elite. Thanks once again for listening to this episode. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.